My fiancée asked for a break to reconnect with her cheating ex. I sold my house, disappeared, and cut all ties. 8 months later, her life's in ruins. I'm jotting this down because I just need to get it out of my head. Honestly, I'm posting this on Reddit without really knowing what I'm hoping for, maybe just to get it out in the open. So, I'm 28 now, but all this kicked off when I was 16. It mainly involves my mom, dad, and my little sister Chloe. She's 5 years younger than me, so she was 11 when things started going sideways, and she's 23 now. There's also this guy I'll call Richard, who used to be my mom's boyfriend before she met my dad, or at least that's what I thought. Hey, so I'm 32 and up until recently, my life was pretty stable and going according to plan. The main person in this story besides me is Sarah, my ex-fiancée, who was 30 then. We had been together for 4 years and engaged for the last one. We lived in a house I bought before we got engaged, and it was just in my name. I made that decision based on my finances and some family help well before Sarah was in the picture. She moved in with me about 2 years into our relationship. Now, Sarah's ex-boyfriend, James, is also part of this story. They were together before me, but they broke up because he cheated on her. She had told me about the pain it caused her. Her family, including her parents and younger sister Clara, also got involved as things unfolded. When we first started, everything seemed solid. We met through a friend, dated for a year, and then moved in together. 2 years later, I popped the question. We seemed to share the same interests and mutual respect. Sarah knew about my financial situation. I bought our cozy 3-bedroom suburban house with savings and some inheritance from my grandparents. It was perfect for our future plans of getting married and starting a family. Sarah helped with household expenses but didn't own any part of the house, and that was clear to both of us. James was this figure from her past that I knew about. Their relationship was 2 years long and ended badly with his infidelity. I thought she had moved on, especially since we were engaged and building a life together. But about 6 months before everything blew up, I noticed some changes in Sarah. She started bringing up James more often, saying she'd seen social media posts or heard about him from friends. At first, I didn't think much of it, as people from the past can pop back into conversations. But then it happened more frequently, and she began to seem restless, often comparing her choices and talking about what-ifs. Sarah became a little distant, always on her phone and looking lost in thought. When I asked if she was okay, she'd just say work was stressful or she was tired. Things got intense when, 3 months before she requested a break, she told me James had reached out to her, apologizing for the past and saying he had changed. Sarah was curious and called it a chance for closure. I told her that closure usually comes from within, but I didn't stop her from talking to him. I believed in trust and didn't want to dictate who she could or couldn't speak to, although I did let her know it made me uneasy. Over the next few weeks, it was obvious their chats weren't just a one-time thing. Sarah was texting late into the night, even stepping out to take calls. When I brought it up, she confessed they'd been talking more. She painted him as a changed man and started reminiscing about their past, the fun trips, inside jokes, and what they had in common. It seemed like she was seeing their past in a new, rose-tinted light. Things got real when she started comparing my relationship with her to the one she had with James. She'd say things like our life was comfy and stable but wondered aloud if that was enough for her forever. That was alarming because we had always valued those things. I tried to have an honest conversation about what was going on and what she felt was lacking, but her answers were all over the place. She said she loved me but wasn't sure about her own feelings and future happiness, often bringing James and their what-if scenarios into the mix. It was like she was caught up in this old pattern. A week before she asked for a break, she met up with James for coffee. She told me it was to finally get closure. I didn't stop her, but I made it clear that I was uncomfortable, especially with how things had been going. She went anyway, and when she got back, she was distant and dodgy about what they talked about, just saying it was interesting. So, James had really changed, huh? Our home got pretty tense for a few days after that realization. It was a Saturday morning that brought everything to a head. I had this whole day planned out for us, maybe a hike or something, to try to reconnect. But before we even got started, in the same room where we had dreamed about our wedding and future, she kicked off a conversation that flipped everything. She started with some nice words about how much she valued me and the life we had together. Then she shifted gears, talking about this internal tug-of-war with her emotions. She admitted she was all mixed up about how she felt. She brought James into the picture again, saying how getting back in touch with him had stirred up some old feelings. She was questioning if she'd made a mistake when she left him or if she should explore if there was anything still there, now that he was supposedly a changed man. Then came the bombshell: she wanted a break from us. She was clear that she needed some time, maybe a few weeks or a couple of months, to see where things stood with James. She thought she could crash with her sister Clara or find a temporary place during this period. She wanted to date James to figure out if her feelings were legit or just fueled by nostalgia. She stressed that it didn't mean she wanted to end things with me forever, she just needed the space to figure out her heart before we tied the knot. She even suggested that whatever she found out could either make her a better partner for me or prove that James was a mistake, ultimately strengthening our relationship in the long run. She asked for me to be patient and understanding. I listened to her whole spiel without cutting in, but inside, what I was hearing was my fiancée asking to hit the pause button on our engagement so she could test drive a relationship with an ex who had cheated on her. For me, what she was describing wasn't a pause, it was a straight-up end to our engagement. When she was done, I didn't bother with a big argument or beg her to stay. I just asked a few questions to crystal clear what she was suggesting, that she planned to dive into a romantic and probably physical relationship with James during this break. She said yes, that was the only way to figure things out. My response was cool and to the point. I told her that if she felt the need to explore things with another guy, our relationship was effectively over. I wasn't going to be some sort of backup or be part of a situation where our commitment took a backseat while she went off to see what was up with James. I told her I wasn't going to wait for her to decide between me and a guy who'd already messed up once. Her asking for this break showed a huge lack of respect for me and the vows we were planning to make, and I said as much. I let her know that in my eyes, our engagement and relationship were done, right then and there. She looked surprised, maybe thinking I'd try to talk her out of it or something. She tried to explain that I was misunderstanding her reasons, that it was all about her confusion, not about not loving me. I stuck to my guns, telling her that wanting to explore something with another guy was already crossing a line that ended things for us. Sarah looked shocked when I made my stand. She started to backpedal, suggesting maybe we didn't need a break after all or that we could talk more. But her request was out there, and for me, the message was loud and clear. I told her the trust and commitment I thought we had were shattered by her proposal. Since she needed space for James, I'd make sure she got it. I told her she had to make plans to move her stuff out of our place and that she should probably go ahead and stay with her sister or find that temporary spot because she wasn't going to be living with me anymore. That same Saturday afternoon, after she left, looking upset, probably to figure things out or head to her sister's, I took action. This wasn't an angry decision but a clear-headed one. Our relationship was over, and so was the future we'd planned together. The logical next step was to start dismantling our shared life. First off, I called a locksmith and got all the locks changed in a few hours since it was my house. She didn't have any legal claim to it. Over the rest of the weekend, I started prepping the house for sale. I packed up Sarah's personal stuff that was mixed in with mine, like clothes, toiletries, and a few decor pieces, into boxes and put them in the garage, planning to set up a time for her to come get them. I also began decluttering and making the place look nice for potential buyers. By Monday morning, I was on the phone with a top-notch real estate agent, giving them a quick rundown that I was single, needed to sell fast due to a new job opportunity. I started reaching out through my professional network for out-of-state roles because I wanted a fresh start and a quick, hassle-free sale. The market was looking good for sellers, and all signs pointed towards moving on. So, here's how things went down. After everything blew up, I got my resume all polished up and started reaching out to people I know, applying for jobs in a city way across the country. This place had a booming industry and offered a chance for a fresh start, which sounded perfect. Then there was the whole digital cleanup. Sarah and I had been using shared cloud storage for years, keeping photos, documents, and backups together. It was full of memories. I downloaded everything that was mine and had the right to, then I methodically removed her access and deleted the shared stuff that was ours. It felt like cutting a final digital cord. I barely talked to Sarah afterward. When she asked why I changed the locks, I just shot her a text saying the relationship was done, the house was getting sold, and she needed to work with my realtor to pick up her things. I wasn't up for any arguments, letting her know we'd only talk about logistics from then on. She was predictably upset, calling me heartless and impulsive. She claimed she was just confused and that I was overreacting, but my mind was made up. Turns out, selling the house was a breeze. Thanks to its great spot and some savvy pricing, I snagged a cash offer a little below asking price in just 2 weeks, no major hassles. We aimed to close 30 days later. During that time, Sarah cranked up her attempts to reach me. Calls, texts, emails, you name it. I ignored most of it, and when she got nasty or too emotional, I blocked her on everything: phone, email, social media. I told my realtor to deal with the rest. Eventually, Sarah and her sister Clara came by to get her stuff. I wasn't there when it all happened. The house sale wrapped up about 6 weeks after she asked for a break. By then, I'd already landed a promising job in my new state, complete with a relocation package that sped up my move. I sold some furniture, stored the essentials, packed my car, and drove cross-country. I quickly settled into a temporary apartment, started my new job, and began crafting a new life. I dived into work, explored my new city, and reconnected with a couple of old college friends who lived nearby. I focused on learning from the past instead of dwelling on it, figuring out my boundaries and deal breakers. It's been roughly 8 months now, and I'm doing all right at my new job. It's tough but fulfilling, and I've found a more permanent place to live. I'm not exactly over the moon about what happened, but I'm stable and moving forward, even if my path's a little different now. I'm sharing all this because I've heard a bit about what's been happening with Sarah lately. Mostly, Clara, her sister, filled me in a few months back, and I caught wind of things through a few mutual acquaintances. It turns out Sarah's fling with James was a mess. He wasn't the changed man he pretended to be and pulled his old tricks, seeing other women or going back to his old ways once Sarah was around. He bailed on her about 2 months after she asked for a break from me, saying her emotional baggage was too much and that he wasn't ready for commitment. Sarah ended up in a tough spot. She'd broken things off with me, my house got sold, and she was crashing with Clara. But things got tense there, too, with Sarah blaming everyone but herself for her choices, me for overreacting and James for misleading her. Sarah's parents got involved, too. Clara mentioned they were really disappointed. They'd liked me and were looking forward to the wedding. Plus, they already knew James wasn't a good match from Sarah's past with him. When they found out everything, that Sarah wanted a break to be with James and that I ended our engagement and sold the house, apparently, they sided with me. They thought Sarah had thrown away a good future by being rash and not thinking things through. Then, there was more bad news for Sarah. She lost her job. From what I gathered, her personal drama spilled over into her work life, hitting her performance and attendance. So there she was, dumped by James, in hot water with her sister, and on the outs with her parents. Now, she's without a job and pretty much without a place to stay, relying on the goodwill of friends since Clara finally asked her to find somewhere else. Clara's initial call was to apologize for how Sarah acted and to let me know her and her parents' regrets about how things turned out. They wanted me to know they didn't back Sarah's choices. It was a surprising chat, and I mostly just listened. Lately, Sarah's even been trying to reach out to me through new ways, almost desperate. So basically, someone has been using social media profiles and calling from random numbers to get messages to me. Before I block each new approach, the messages are usually apologies, pleas for a second chance, or requests for help, sometimes money, sometimes just wanting to chat. She talks about her tough situation, how sorry she is, and her supposed realization of messing up. Just to be clear, I'm not here to ask if I should take her back or help her out. That ship has sailed, and I've moved on. My actions were firm and I'm sticking to them. I guess I'm just writing this on Reddit to lay it all out and mostly to vent. I'm not looking for advice on dealing with her, I've got a strict no contact policy. Update, it's been about 3 weeks since my first post. I've read a bunch of comments and private messages, and I'm grateful for the support and different perspectives. Many folks have shared similar experiences or supported my decision. There were some recurring questions that I'll try to clear up here. First, people asked about the house. Just to clarify, it was totally mine. I bought it before we even got engaged, using my own money and some inheritance. Sarah's name wasn't on any of the ownership papers. She chipped in for some utilities and groceries, like any partner or roommate would, but that didn't give her any rights to the place. When she said she wanted to be with another guy, her reason for living in my home disappeared. As for her stuff, I boxed it up and gave her a fair chance to pick it up, which she did with her sister. There was nothing shady about it, I just asked her to leave because she ended our relationship, and I changed the locks to protect my property. Some people thought I acted too quickly. But the breakup wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. It came after weeks of her being distant, reconnecting with James, and voicing doubts about us. She didn't just want space to think, she wanted space to date James. It was pretty clear to me where her priorities lay, so I made my stance clear too. I wasn't going to be her backup plan. Sarah's sister, Clara, was the first in her family to see the whole picture. Sarah stayed with Clara right after we had our final talk. Naturally, Clara asked what was up, and Sarah initially tried to make it sound like I overreacted to her wanting some space. But Clara knows her sister well and got the full story about wanting to date James. Clara's pretty practical and had warned Sarah about rekindling things with James. Sarah's parents later found out, and they sided with me. They always liked me and thought I was a stable partner for Sarah. They knew James had a rough past and saw him as a bad influence. Sarah throwing away a secure future for a shot with someone unreliable seemed like a huge mistake to them. They didn't blame me for ending things and selling the house but rather saw it as a reaction to Sarah's decisions. Their disappointment was with her choices, not my response. Some folks were surprised at how fast I acted. I'm a planner by nature, so once I decided, I moved quickly. I'd already been thinking about moving forward in my career, and the situation with Sarah gave me the push I needed. The housing market was hot, and I priced the house for a swift sale. I wanted a clean break, not to squeeze out every dollar. I wasn't panicking, I just wanted to cut ties with the past quickly. Since my first post, Sarah kept trying to reach me, but it started to slow down after I sent a clear message through a mutual acquaintance. I authorized this trustworthy former colleague to tell Sarah that reconciliation wasn't happening, no discussion was needed, and any more attempts to contact me would be seen as harassment. I also wanted to make it clear that I didn't wish her any harm, but her life is hers to handle, and I'm not getting involved. That's the only indirect contact I've had since blocking her. I've also taken steps to protect my privacy, like changing my number, annoying but necessary, and updating security settings on my accounts. I wanted to make sure everything was completely cut off. Clara, who gave me an unsolicited update about a week ago, mentioned that James had dumped Sarah and told their friends that she was too. So, things got pretty intense with Sarah because she was kind of stuck in the past, according to Clara. She felt super embarrassed about it, and Clara even said it made Sarah's job hunt even worse. It seems Sarah had a tough time finding new work. People were talking about how her last job ended on a sour note, possibly because of some personal issues she was dealing with, and maybe because she wasn't really focused during her job applications and interviews. The big news from Clara was that Sarah tried living with her parents for a bit, but that didn't work out either. Her parents let her stay, but they were clear that she needed to own up to her mistakes, get some professional help for her decision-making issues, and basically start putting her life back together on her own instead of blaming others or looking for quick fixes. Sarah didn't take this well, which led to more tension, and she eventually moved out after a few weeks. When Clara last filled me in, she wasn't sure exactly where Sarah was, only that she was crashing with an old college buddy and still having a really hard time. Clara shared her own stress and frustration, feeling stuck in the middle but also firm in the belief that Sarah needed to face the music to learn from her mistakes. Clara made it clear they held no grudges against me and wished me well, which I appreciated. I thanked her for the info but didn't ask for more updates, wanting to move on with my life. Fast forward about 6 months since my last update, which makes it roughly 7 months since my first post. Quite a bit has changed, or not, in Sarah's situation, and my life has really started to settle down and move forward here. Everything's going smoothly for me at work, I've taken on more responsibilities and I'm diving into some exciting projects. I've got a solid routine going, met some cool new friends, and explored more of the new city, which is really starting to feel like home. The drama from last year feels more and more like ancient history. I don't spend time thinking about Sarah or our past relationship. I'm all about looking forward. I'm not dating anyone new by choice. Right now, I'm happy focusing on career growth and my personal interests. News about Sarah has, thankfully, become much less frequent. Clara has respected my unspoken wish for no more updates, and I haven't heard anything directly from Sarah or her family in quite a while. There was one notable bit of info I got about 2 months ago. A former colleague from my old city, the same guy who passed on my no contact message to Sarah, reached out for some work stuff. He had my new number and promised to keep it private. During our chat, he cautiously shared something he thought I should know, but he understood if I wasn't interested. He told me Sarah had left the state a while back. Apparently, after running out of options with friends and with her family sticking to their guns, she decided to move, maybe to live with a distant relative or just start over somewhere new where nobody knew about her past. He didn't have the full details, just that she wasn't near our old city anymore. Hearing that she moved away didn't really stir up any major feelings for me. It seemed like a logical, though maybe desperate, move for someone in her shoes. Since my first update, Sarah hasn't tried to get in touch with me, or at least none of her attempts have made it to me. Changing my number and blocking any sketchy new contacts has worked pretty well. I'm continuing on the path I've set for myself. Selling the house, relocating, and getting this new job were all part of creating a fresh start, and I've achieved that. This'll probably be my last update on all this. There's really nothing new from my end, and I prefer not hearing more about Sarah. My original post was meant to chronicle a series of events, and I've done that.